Right, I feel inadequate now backstage at Stone Valley Midlands Festival because I've just introduced myself to somebody who's coming on shortly. You'll see. They're all literally suited and booted, Death Guitar Pop. And I asked their names. Mine's Liz. And what I got was...
Silky.
And...
Top Cat.
Not the names your mother gave you.
No, mine comes from being rubbish at football. Silky Skills. It was an ironic nickname that I got. Yeah.
And mine comes from being really good at football.
Okay, so that's a big influence then. So you were telling me, it's not a secret, that you are very much admiring of the style of Neville Staples, who was on here yesterday, and he does wear some sharp gear, doesn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. He's a very cool geezer. So, yeah, we're like a two-tone ska revival band. And, yeah, I would say the look has inspired us just as much as the music has as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I would like to point out we're not as sharp as Neville, and we don't think we're as sharp as Neville or ever going to be as sharp as Neville, but we're doing our best.
Have you got in your dressing room 7 identical suit carriers, all two-tone colours, all personalised?
We're not quite there yet, but, you know.
We're working our way. We're working our way to it. Well, we've got 1.5 suits at the moment.
So tell me about your outfit, because it's 100% wool and cashmere, I would say, and silk. It's not the, optimum outfit for a day like today, which must be like high 20s, low 30s out there.
I would say it's very lucky that I'm bald because I'm letting a lot of heat out up here. If I had hair, I'd be in trouble, I reckon.
Right, well, will you be absolutely wet through by the end of the set?
If everything goes well, yeah.
Ooh, must have a big laundry bill. And what are you wearing?
So
Are you a Newcastle fan?
I'm not actually, no, and I have to be careful that when we're playing in Sunderland, I choose a more neutral shirt. But no, this was inspired by Terry Hall, wore a shirt like this. Yeah, back in the two-tone era, and this is a Relco shirt. So yeah, shout out to Relco.
And a sherry suit,
Sherry suit as well, yeah.
That means nothing to me. Oh, the famous shop that did it. Oh, right.
Yeah, it's been there like 40 years, yeah.
Wow. And my dad always said, Elizabeth, now that is a more exotic name, always judge a gentleman by his shoes. So I'm dead impressed. You've got the finest footwear I've ever seen at this festival. Tell me about your loafers.
So these are Lokes actually, yeah, tassel loafers, and again just inspired by what the Specials and Madness used to rock back in the day on the two-tone tour.
And yours are more of a brogue.
Mine's a brogue. I can't afford Lokes yet, but hopefully soon. These are a company called Lancs, which are from Lancashire. So.
Oh, good for you. So am I. Now, where do you think the connection came way back, in the 60s and 70s between reggae, ska music and the guys that performed it and took it, across Britain and to the world? Why was there this insistence or fascination with sharp-dressed men?
I think that like the Windrush generation was a massive influence over here, wasn't it? And obviously in the late 70s, the sort of
hybrid of Jamaican culture and working class British culture, that sort of
from a time when, like you said, the guys coming from the Caribbean would not go out without a smart jacket and hats, and guys like my dad would sit on a beach in tailored trousers and a crisp white shirt, slacks and a shirt. Never saw my dad in anything less than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a strong look, isn't it?
I mean, we could learn a thing or two, really, couldn't we? We're quite a scruffy generation most of the time. So, yeah, I think that's why we like getting suited and booted so much, because, as you saw earlier, I was in a football shirt and tracksuit bottoms, wasn't I? So, yeah.
Well, it's better than one of your lot has got hardly any clothes on at all, to be honest. Yeah.
Sun out there, isn't he?
Why is it called Bonsai? Is he very small?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nickname again that was like, it was given to him as a teenager and it's just stuck. I can't remember exactly where it come from, but yeah, he's a little on the short side. But.
Right, at the end of the day, that's all the style, that's all the image, partly the ethos of the band as well. But let's talk about the music. So I am negligent and woefully ignorant of you guys, although you've just given me your latest album, I think. So I'm looking forward to banging that on in the car. I think I'll get home in about half the time, if it's any good. Get me toe down. So what do you play? Is it original material, or do you do ska, reggae standards? What?
Yeah, no, it's original music. I mean, there's a couple of covers there, but it's mainly, original songs that are just really heavily inspired by that two-tone sound. So yeah, got like 3 albums out now. That one that we've gifted you today, Pucker Sounds.
Good, I don't have to pay. Few.
that got to number 24 in the UK album charts.
Wow, well done.
And we're completely DIY as well. So feels like we've got a bit of momentum at the moment as a band.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the deluxe edition as well. So it's got a gold case
and a bit of a two-tone thing going on. Do you think? I feel like bursting into song. You know the song "Born Too Late." Yeah. Probably should do a reggae version of that. Right. So who are your heroes? What turned you on to this genre of music?
Well, for me, it was when I was like 5, 6 years old. My dad come home from work one night and he had a VHS tape of Divine Madness, which was like a compilation of all the Madness music videos. And I was just hooked from the get-go, and I wanted to be Suggs. And not much has changed really.
Well, you've got a lovely smile and an accent, just like it. You could be son of Suggs, couldn't you?
Well, I'd say that as a massive compliment. Thank you.
You could. You got a cheeky grin. And what about you?
I think you're even more handsome than Suggs. So, yeah. So for me, very similar. It's your mum and dad's music, isn't it, that influences you? My dad's like a bit of a musical encyclopedia, loves his soul music, loves the Beatles. And Two-Tone Ska was his era, so he'd have been like 29 when the Specials' first album come out. So, sorry, is it 19? 19, sorry, when the Specials. I'm making him sound older than he is there. He won't forgive me for that. But yeah, 19 when the first Specials album came out, and One Step Beyond came out. And then, as we were getting into bands and stuff when we were teenagers. There was a festival where we're from in Chelmsford called V Festival, and I saw the Specials play there when I was probably about 12 or 13, and it's one of the greatest live shows I've ever seen. And we were all kids, and they were 30 years older than us, but we were all hooked instantly. So
you mentioned Madness and the Specials, and Madness were influenced by people from Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean making music and embraced it. And I remember The Clash, Police, loads of bands. In the late 70s, early 80s, you got original reggae ska hits from the original bands, but you also got the British kids who'd grown up with pop but had embraced it. Is that still happening apart from you guys? Do you hear the influence of that Caribbean music generally in pop now?
Yeah, well, I mean, not so much in like mainstream pop culture, I don't think, but there's loads of great bands on the underground. So you've got the...
I'm talking about that fusion, if you like. Is it happening?
I mean, definitely on the underground. Yeah, there's loads of great bands that are doing a similar thing to us. So you've got the Skints, the Barstool Preachers, Buster Shuffle, Dakar Skanks. Scene's really healthy at the moment.
Chain Scar as well, yeah. So.
Oh, it's good to hear, because it doesn't get played on the radio like it used to get played in the 70s and 80s.
What's also quite interesting is you went to watch them this week is how far-reaching the influence has been, and there's a lot of like Californian ska bands as well, isn't there? Like you went to watch the Interrupters, didn't you, earlier in the week, who are smashing it at the moment. And it's interesting to see how that culture has permeated into kind of a punk scene in America as well. So
it did here in the late 70s, Joe Strummer and co. loved their reggae because they were living in West London. And so on that subject, finally, the band's names always fascinate me. So Death of Guitar Pop, why and what kind of statement were you making?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess at the time it was like coming from a place of frustration, because when we formed this band, we'd both been in like indie pop bands that had failed, like had a record deal and everything, and that hadn't worked out, been shelved by my label for like 3 years. and was just skint and thinking that I'd missed the boat and wasn't going to be able to do anything in music. So yeah, a little bit of a nod to like my previous band not working out, and yeah, just a sort of lack of like, at the time, this is going back like 6 years now, lack of like good guitar music in like mainstream media.
Well, I think that's the media's fault, and I'm bashing on about this now, because I think if you're a young bunch of lads, like one band I tried to help from somewhere like Leicester, and you're practicing in your garage, parents' garage, and you're trying to get bookings, the small venues that gave people a leg up, your pubs, are going and aren't getting licenses for music, and B, the likes of Radio 1 and Six Music are just abandoning lads with guitars. I think I'm reluctant to say so, like, oh, she's just, you know, she's older and she's banging on about music. It's not what it used to be. But I really sense that it's very hard that culture is being not supported, in fact erased.
I think as well, like, not to get overtly sort of political about it or anything, but like radio stations that are supposed to champion, you know, guitar music or whatever we want to call it, like a Radio X or something like that, you know, the main rotation, they're still playing Noel Gallagher songs and Liam Gallagher songs, and I don't think there's so many great young guitar bands out there that maybe aren't getting...
Yeah, High Flying Birds are on Absolute Radio all the time.
And I love Noel Gallagher, obviously. Oasis were huge for me, but like, there is other stuff out there, isn't there?
Right, well, we must bear that in mind and see more of those. I know that John, who does these festivals, is very keen to get younger guitar bands on and younger punky bands, for want of a better thing. Meanwhile, we'll all enjoy these guys tonight. Death of guitar pop, but the birth of something new and amazing. Right, and thank you for the album. And have a really good time.
Thank you very much, Liz. Really,
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
See you at next year's festival.
You will indeed.